By the late 1950s, people throughout Asia and Africa were fighting for self-determination against colonial powers. But Eisenhower failed to see a connection between liberation movements in Africa and civil rights in America. He saw action against colonial governments as communist-inspired.
Deeply embedded in U.S. values in the 1950s was an understanding of white people at the top of a heap of worth and capability, and black people, Asians, indigenous people controlling their own destinies would mean chaos and upheaval. Is deeply rooted in racialized understandings of who has a capacity for self-government.
While serving on U.S. delegations, I noticed the United States going along with what the British and French were doing in dragging their feet and not keeping up to their sacred trust of bringing these countries to self-government. And I kept insisting that the U.S. policy should be in keeping with our own history and our own principles, and that we should not be going along with what these colonial powers were doing.
Todman represented the sort of young lions coming in, confronting this idea within the State Department that the real experts on Africa are the old colonialists.
In 1960, liberation movements in Asia and Africa were transforming global politics. That year alone, 17 African nations won their struggle for independence. Eisenhower left office in 1961, just as the movement for civil rights at home was growing stronger by the year. In his winning campaign, John F. Kennedy had promised to support both civil rights and African independence.
The great battleground for the defense and expansion of freedom today is the whole southern half of the globe, Asia, Latin America, Africa, and the Middle East, the lands of the rising people.
But for all his rhetoric, the new president mainly focused on one problem: stopping the expansion of communist power. Now, he looked for someone he could trust to communicate his policies to the world.